Oh my god. I have never had a more annoying delivery. I am so sorry. I'm out of breath. Starting soon screen, 16 minutes. It's okay. It's okay. Now I'm live. I've been sat here for like 20 minutes thinking, okay, 3 deliveries. Okay. 2 deliveries. Okay, I'm next. It says I'm the next delivery. So why are you at the end of the street delivering something? That would incline. Would that not mean one more delivery until your delivery? I don't know. They were like stood outside my door being like, which house is it? My house number is on my door. I'm literally stood next to my door. Waiting. Like, please. I only ordered like one thing. But it's okay, because why? Because Starsand Island might be okay today. Which makes me really happy, so I'm fine. Hello. No, prefer your glasses? Well, I don't. I don't, okay? So it's a contact kind of day. I'm trying to wear them more, okay? I haven't been wearing them because I had the flu and then I got like an infection in my tonsil and I was not supposed to be really wearing them with antibiotics. And I was just like, okay, I can't wear them. So I wore them yesterday and the day before and today. I have to wear them every day. Sometimes I don't wear them on stream. I just wear them before bed for like a couple hours. Like I end stream and like do all my self-care stuff, put my contacts in for a couple hours so I can like enjoy not having to wear glasses. In a great way, but we're gonna take the piss when I can't. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I do think I am one of those people now that when you don't have your glasses on, you look a bit weird. I don't know. I didn't wear glasses until like properly, like every day. I wore them. I've worn them since I was like 7, but I've never worn them like I do now until like a year ago, when my optician was like, "You need to wear them every day. You can't see anything. You're like practically blind." I'm like, "Oh, that's why I have to do this every time I play a video game." I used to sit here and play games like this. Why can't I see anything? Is Starsand working again? I don't know. This is a test. If this doesn't work, we're gonna go to a different game. I have it open, and we are live. The only difference is I don't have the NVIDIA broadcast app open, so my background's not blurred, which I don't mind. I don't mind it. Like, I don't hate my background. It's boring, but I don't hate it. But it's the only thing I don't have open because it does take up a lot of. I don't know if it does anything to your RAM, but it definitely does stuff to like your graphics card and stuff. So I just like closed it to see if it makes a difference. But Starsand Island is open. I have OBS open. I have a bunch of stuff open, and my memory is currently sat on 73%, which is fine. So let's just see how it goes. Hopefully it goes fine. They just announced another update coming out. So I don't know if the last update helped. I did do what you said. I did uninstall and reinstall, but it didn't do anything. It didn't do anything. Sounds like you do need more. Maybe I do. Look, when RAM goes back down, I will probably upgrade it, but at the moment, it's impossible. It's impossible, right? Like, I'm not going to be able to do it. Realistically, I cannot save £400 to spend on a stick of, like, plastic. That would be ridiculous. So, we're not going to do that yet. Hello, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. But yeah, I don't know. I think we're gonna try. We're gonna try and play and see how it goes. And hopefully we can just play for the whole stream because it would be real nice. So hopefully. I do only have a couple things I've done since the last I was on stream. So you haven't missed anything. Because I was like, I don't want to play if I can't stream it. Like, if I can stream it and we can stream it twice a week or once a week, and I play offline, that's fine. But if I can't play it on stream at all, I don't like to play it off stream until I know that I'm not going to stream it. That's how I am with some games like Palia or Hotopia. Like, I don't want to do everything off stream if we can stream some. So I'm kind of like, you know? But I think we'll just get into it because I let you guys sit in the starting soon screen for way too long. Way too long. Usually we chat for like 20 minutes and it's already been 20 minutes because you were in the starting soon screen for like 15. Blame a delivery driver. Let me get the game up and see what we're working with. Okay, let's see. It's on 74%. I just tapped into the game. If it doesn't move, we are literally perfect. I need to move my chair, but it won't move. I have music on YouTube playing a couple of shopping tabs open and stars on my memories on 22. Yeah, but you have like a lot. You have a lot. I do not. I do not have much. Okay, we have 16 gigabyte. But let's just like run around and jump around like a maniac and see if the game actually is fine. Because it's on 75. It looks good. It looks good. This looks like, I'm just saying, this looks good right now. I will keep an eye on it. I've got it open in my task manager, like down here. But we'll see. I know, which is why I'm saying you need more RAM. I can't buy more RAM. Double the RAM I have is £400. Unless someone wants to give me £400. Plus, I don't even just have to buy the RAM because I can't take anything out of the PC without breaking it. If it was just the RAM going in and nothing else had to come out to put it in, I could do it. But after last time, I don't trust myself, so I have to pay someone to do it. It sounds stupid, but trust me, it's better than breaking a PC. Anyway, we need to go and claim these DLC rewards because it's kind of drive me insane. It's like sat there. I want to go see what it is. I think this was the thing they announced like a couple of weeks back now. Because we haven't played in like 2 weeks. Oh, I've missed this. Let me play a brief one in, now that we're not talking. Okay. I've missed this game. So much. Like, what do you mean? I haven't played this game in like 2 weeks. We played like twice. I played once or twice offline. So annoying. We have so much to do, which is good because it gives us something to do. This. Inventory is full. Oh. Wait. My inventory's full? Hang on. How do I open inventory again? Bag. Is my inventory full to you? I don't think it is. I don't think this is full. Hello? I'm pretty sure you could get DDR4 RAM cheaper than... Yeah, but why would I upgrade RAM to DDR4 when I already have DDR4? Why wouldn't I upgrade to DDR5? I don't think it'd be much point. I don't know. Check your furniture tab. Wait. No. I have all this. It's lying to me. Because you can't. Good point. Should we just check quickly how much it actually costs? Hang on. Do you think it would be a lot? Let's do DDR4 32. Okay. No, still too much. No chance. Not yet, anyway. If you have DDR4, you need DDR4. Oh. Do I? Can I not upgrade? I don't know how this works. Either way, DDR4 RAM, 32 gigabyte is still £200. Not happening. And it's fine because the game is actually running even better now than it ever was. I don't know. But I don't know why it won't let me do this. It's kind of bugging me out. This. Oh, if your inventory is full. I just read the red thing and got worried. That was silly of me, huh? Okay, what do we... Oh, it was the stuff from that. Hang on. How do I... Wardrobe. I'm probably not going to change into any of these clothes because... Look at my outfit and tell me why I would. I don't think I should. But still cute. Motherboard may only be... Oh. Well, the motherboard I originally got has been in there for a while, and then I broke it by trying to do something. I think it was when I was trying to upgrade my graphics card and my CPU, which went fine until I somehow managed to completely break the motherboard, and the guy replaced the motherboard with a similar one, but a slightly better one. So I don't know how old it is. It's like brand new, essentially, like in terms of like it being new, but in terms of the model, probably old. So it's probably only DDR4. Good point though, thank you for telling me, but I'm still not gonna upgrade for 200 yet. We will wait for it to come down, okay? We wait for them to come down. It was replaced like last year. Around the time that we were streaming last year, so like not even a year ago yet. But it's not a new model, I don't think. Anyway, this is cute, actually. Now that I have it on, how cute. Okay, I'm actually kind of obsessed. I didn't... Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? How cute! How cute. Wait, did it change the hairstyle? Wait. That is so cute. Oh my god, wait, I love this. Can we get anything else or is that it? Okay, I need to put this back on though. Oh wait, the hair. No, where's the hair? Wait. I don't want to apply it. Yeah, there we go. Okay. It's fine. We're fine. But the frog is like the cutest thing ever. If you have 16 GB DDR5, you'll need a 16 unless you want. Good point. I'll have a look after stream. But I still have a feeling it's going to be like 100. And I have 2 concerts in the next 2 months and I don't have much money to even think about it. I wouldn't even be able to get it until April. So we'll see. We'll see. But I have to like think about being someone too. It's not just a RAM price. It's so frustrating. I have a bunch of stuff that I did when I last played, and I don't remember what it was. But we need to water my plants, so that's probably something we should do. Because I started to do plants. I have no idea what we're doing with them. I did the plants originally, I think, because I wanted this outfit. I don't do things in games because I want to do them. I do them for the cute things. If I get a cute reward afterwards, I'm going to do it for that reason only. So, I got the cute outfit. Now I have no idea what I'm doing with any of this. I guess we're just trying to level stuff up so we can get other stuff. I don't know. Can you remember if you have 2 8 gig? I have 2 8, I believe. Because the thing is, I cannot see them. Because my CPU fans are gigantic. But I believe it's 2 8. Also, what is this? Because I forgot what this is. It did something, and I don't know what it did. It analyzes ore. Cool. Ancient precision part. Okay. Has a chance to be obtained by analyzing ore blocks of any level, an essential crafting component. Okay. So what do I do with this? This is all fine, but I don't know what this does. What do I do with it? Wait. Okay, I have no idea what I was doing. Oh, bag is getting full. Oh. Wait, can I upgrade my bag yet? 'Cause I don't know if I actually can. Get those rocks in the moonlit forest. Yeah, I got a bunch of stuff there, but I don't know what that like machine actually does. Because I don't remember what I put in it. It breaks them down? Huh? There's so much in this game, it's so confusing to me. Carbon line. And stone brick. How do I make this? Do I make it in like... This? Maybe? Do I have it like unlocked? And you get a few different things from it. Okay. So basically we get ore, we put ore into machine and we get things back. We already know that I'm like not that inclined in terms of knowledge in any game at this point. I literally have no idea how I'm supposed to get that material. What is this? What is this? Sleepy cat head. Happy hat. What? Is it like a spaceship helmet with like a cat face on it or something? The sleepy-eyed capybara, or capybara, declares your stance gentle yet unmistakably strong. What? Oh wait, maybe it's on this, on the spinning wheel. There it is. Okay, we have a bunch of materials, by the way. Like, I have so many things, because all I did when I wasn't streaming it was quite literally just running around like a maniac and collecting materials. I went through about... I don't know how far through I actually got. I got, like, a little bit through the forest. A little bit, but I don't think I got that far. We'll see in a minute how far I got through it, but I don't think it was too far. It was like a couple more doors than what we had originally. But it wasn't insane. What was I trying to make again? Oh my god, I'm going crazy. I was trying to do my bag. I was like, hang on. Huh? I have over 106k gold at the moment. And you spent some because you had like 250 yesterday, right? Have you started building yet? I'm curious. I haven't seen anyone's builds at all. Stonebrick. I haven't seen a single person actually do a build yet. I haven't like looked any of them up. It's very unlike me. Very unlike me. Usually I spend like my spare time doing that. You spend so much. I think you've probably been a millionaire a good couple of times over and you've just spent so much that it hasn't compiled all at once. That's quite funny. I feel like the minute I have money, I just spend it in games. I get like conscious. Like right now, in like Dreamout Valley, I'm very conscious. I'm like, I need money to do things, but like, I just want to spend everything. Also, a little update, the game is running fine. So I think we might change the name of the stream. Before, like, that is not how you spell adventure. That is also not how you spell adventuring. Why can I not spell? There we go. Yeah, we're still on 70-something%, so I'm very happy right now. I'm very happy with this. This is making me, like... I was genuinely so sad. Okay, we just expanded something, but it wasn't much. But you know what it'll do? Let's go put some stuff back in the chest. And now that I know I can do this... Perfect. Absolutely perfect. How do I... Can I, like, put everything over? It's already in there. Do I do that by doing this? Oh, wait, this is good. Wait. Because now my bag's, like, practically empty. Lovely. Okay. So these can go in here, I think? I have a little system going. I have a little bit of a system going. It's not perfect, but you know what? It does its job. Oh. See? That's where I just went wrong. These don't go in here, they go in here. It's such like... I feel like I have this problem where I'm so particular on storage. It gets ridiculous. I, in Dreamout Valley, have an entire island for, like most people, for, like, my storage, but it's like, very, like, particular. Very particular. I don't like things to feel messy at all. And sometimes I swear, if I don't do something a certain way, I'm like lost. I can't find anything. I'm confused where anything's gone. Oh wait, we used so much ammo. I have like no ammo. I must have done more than I thought. I must have done more than I thought the other day because that is a little bit ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie, I thought I had so much more than that, but it's fine. We can make more. We can make more, it's fine. What do I do with this? These are like storage chests, right? Oh, people said you can use them as storage. So like, let's just like put them in there. And then this can just go in here. And then you can go in there. With these, because I don't actually need them. Okay. So how do I make ammo? Is it in the crafting table? Let's see. Tools? No. Crafting. How do we make ammo? Is it on one of these? I don't think I can actually make ammo. How do I make ammo? What? Like, I have some. Ammo maker. Hang on a second. Oh. Oh, we need to do this. Radiant core. Let's do, like, 10 of them while we're gone. BRB. Okay. We're just gonna go and see if I can buy an ammo maker. I don't know what it takes. I might not be at that point yet. But you know what? Why not? Okay, so the only thing I actually have unlocked right now is this. So I believe I have no way to actually get the ammo maker yet. Is it in the second one? No, it's not. How do I get the ammo maker? Do we have to buy it from somewhere else? Maybe I have to make it from the Adventurers Guild thing? Like I say, I haven't played much. Had the game since day it released and we just haven't been playing. It's so frustrating. I don't really need this yet. Like, does it do anything to... Yeah, I don't think it does. We need to just do the quest. I think we just need to finish this quest. But does it take 30 seconds or 30 minutes to do that call? Because that is going to take a long, long time. Wait. Get off. Get off the board. Okay, it's going to take 5 minutes for that many of them. I should have just done like a couple. It's fine. I'll put this in a chest. I don't even know which chest it is, to be honest, but we'll keep running until we... No, we're not gonna find it. Oh, it's this one. Okay, well, we do have ammo. Why does it keep putting me into... We have ammo. These need to be done. They've got like a couple minutes as well, so everything should be done around the same time. I think... How much of everything did we actually have? Oh. Oh, wait, that's hardwood, though. We have, like, more than enough stuff, but we just don't have any ammo. I think once we do this, it might let me do ammo. It's like... Oh, it's like 6 p.m. I left the game open when I started stream for, like, 5 minutes. That is a problem. Don't do that. Adventurers Guild. So... Oh, what's his name? It was this guy. So he's up here right now. Maybe we should go see him and see if I can actually get the ammo through him. That is not what I wanted to do. And go see if we can get the ammo from him. And then we can make some ammo, because if we're gonna go in the forest hall, I kinda need ammo. I do kinda need ammo. There's like pretty much no way to go in there without ammo. I mean, when we first went in, I was being a bit dramatic. I thought it was going to be a lot worse than it was. If I'm being completely honest, it was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. But the further in you get, you definitely cannot just survive by running away. At least I don't feel like you can, not from what I've tried anyway. Is he gonna... Does he have like a shop on him? Or do I have to go into the thing? Okay. He doesn't. Can I only go in here? Oh, no, I can. I was like thinking, can I only go in here when it's daytime? There it is, ammo maker. Why have I not bought that yet? Regular bait. What's this? Emits irresistible scent to alert animals 100 meters. What? Bait holder. Oh, we can like bait animals. That's cool. Okay, can I make this here? In case I need to do something else. Tool. Crafting. Ammo maker. Oh, I have enough. Okay, that's good. It doesn't require much. I had everything it needed. I don't know why I didn't skip that. I forgot you can skip it. Okay, so we can go put this down. Make ammo. I did wonder. It was either you get it from there or you get it from the general shop. I didn't realize in like the first stream that was where you pretty much get everything from. I had no idea. No idea the one shop that is always open. No one told me that there was a shop constantly open. It was pretty, you know, like I was like, oh, I'm trying to sell stuff so I can make money and like how did he get down here so quick? Did he just teleport? I was trying to sell stuff and every shop I went to was closed and I was like, well, that's inconvenient because I really want to sell stuff and I didn't realize you could just go to the general shop to sell things. How do I place things again? How do I place it? Oh wait, I right click it. There we go. See, I'm getting back into it. It's fine. We're gonna have to put that down though and then move things because this is here. Oh, I have gotten so used to playing Dreamlight Valley that this feels off. Something just doesn't feel right. I can get used to a game if I play it like continuously for a week or so, but we only played it a little bit that it was like a little bit annoying. Okay. So all we need for these ones is stone, but for this one we need bees and fluorite and moonflower, which means we can do a couple of them. I'm gonna do too many, like I'll do like half. And then we can do this one as well. They only take 2 seconds per one. Is that right? I think so. That's good. Okay. This has 3 minutes left. These should be nearly done. 50 seconds. 30 seconds. Okay. Everything's about to be finished at the same time. Which is nice. How do I do this again? Okay. So we definitely need to make more basic stuff too. I don't know what you really, really need the ammo for. I know that at the beginning it's like, it doesn't really matter too much. Just use stone. It makes more sense. And you're probably better off just buying it unless you have like a load of material and then you can just put it in here and go about your business. By the time you come back, you'll have loads of ammo, it'll be fine. Probably do it when I go fishing. Because fishing definitely is like the one thing that I do to make money personally. So like for me, it makes sense to just like do AFK stuff while I go make money. Plus fishing's like kind of an AFK method of making money in my opinion. So. This is the first time I'm harvesting food without being made to by a character. What did I get? Oh, that took a long time for it to tell me that I had not discovered cabbage yet. 1 minute 18? Huh? That's weird. One of them's gonna take a lot longer than the others. That's okay. Let's give her a second to process. We have not gotten beetroot yet. I was just about to say. Okay. All of these should be done. That one will be done before we do anything else, so that's fine. Now, I don't know if it's worth selling crops or not. Is it worth selling crops? Hi! Sam, how you doing? We finally got the game to work on stream. I haven't been able to play Starsand for like a week or two because my PC was overloaded. My RAM just like was so high. The usage was insane, so we couldn't play it. But you're sick? No! I hope you feel better soon. I've been sick like 3 times in the last 5 months. I've been on antibiotics every time. So I know how it feels. I hate that. I hope you feel better soon. Hopefully it's nothing too bad. I had flu in January and that was not great. So I hope it's nothing like that. You're still at work? Oh no. Tell work to just like go away. We don't want that. Hopefully work's treating you okay though. Especially if you're sick. Just like America. Honestly, I don't think it's much different over here anymore. So I don't think it would matter either way. But we couldn't stream Starsand for like a week. And I really, really wanted to, but we just couldn't. But we're back. And hopefully it stays this way because I missed playing this so much. So we're just kind of like figuring things out again because I haven't played since last stream. The last Starsand stream, so I have no idea what I'm doing. The only thing I know is that if I fish, I can make money. It's not really something I want to do on stream because I feel like it's a little bit boring to just do like AFK stuff. I don't know. I have to find you by the way because my boss doesn't want to pay me anymore. In what sense? In what sense do you mean that? Don't tell me you're being underpaid. Because I will fight someone. That's crazy. Actually crazy. I think you're a little bit further than I am. Ooh, really? I've played like 50 hours, but a lot of that is me opening up all the stream programs and then opening up the game to test if I can even play it on stream. And then being like, yeah, no, let me close the game. So I don't think I've actually played much in comparison to what my hours show. You can't afford to keep me in the office? What? That's crazy. No. You know what? It doesn't deserve you. You know? Hello, Kayla, how you doing? We're currently just gonna wait for this and that to finish, and then we can go do some stuff. Joining Starsand Island, right? I am. Are you? Hopefully you are. This is the first time we played in like a week or two. And I'm really happy about it. I'm trying to find work from home. To be honest, honestly, work from home sounds so much better. Especially if you're not appreciated. Like, you know, do it from the comfort. Just chilling watching a stream. Nice. I hope your day's been well. I'm antisocial. So no, literally same. This is the most amount of socialization I get. And that's me being truthful. Oh, let's go put these in here. Is it your main game for streaming? We've only done 2 streams of Starsand so far because my PC was like not loving me streaming it because it's not like the best optimized game out there right now, I wouldn't say. I would say, should I say. That's very confusing for me to get out there. Basically, the game wasn't running all that great on my PC while streaming, so it was impossible. My main game, I would honestly say at the moment, I don't have one. We're kind of like between Paleo, Heartopia, Starsand. I'm thinking of a little bit of Dreamlight Valley now and again. My partner and I go out weekends. I need 3 weeks to recover. No, same. See, like, I don't know about you guys, but when you're chronically ill, you have like 1 day every month or so, and then it takes 3 weeks for you to recover. It's not great. So not just mentally, but physically too. You ever play Dead by Daylight? I do not. It's not my kind of thing, I don't think. I don't feel like I would enjoy... I feel like, is it like more horror? I've only ever heard about it. I've never really even watched the game. I know a lot of people like it though. I know it has a big following. I just picked up Fields of Mystery again. I haven't this is my thing, my confession. My cozy game confession. I love how Fields of Mystery looks. Have I bought the game? Yes. Have I played it? Kind of not, no. I know they're about to like kind of release it into full release, which is really nice. I will play it eventually, but I have so many games that I want to play that I haven't actually played yet. And that game looks so good. Okay, my partner is also sick, so I hope this weekend we are doing nothing. That sounds amazing. Honestly, hot drinks, nice comfort food, a blanket, turn the lights off, and just don't talk to anyone. By the way, I'm from the US. I'm from the UK, if you can't tell. I think it's kind of a little bit obvious, though. There was a fourth major update, that's why I restarted again. How much have you played it? You, like, is it one of those, like, staple games for you? We didn't... I don't think we got the thing we wanted. Oh, we didn't. Furnace processing. Hang on. Furnace processing. Wait, so I need to do it in this, actually, I think, right? Oh. I think I'm supposed to be doing that. We did the wrong thing this whole time. That's so annoying. It was... I think I have 8 hours. Okay, I only have, like, 45 minutes. Like, 45 minutes. Which is so bad. So bad. And it's not because I didn't like it. It was because I was distracted like crazy and decided if I'm not going to pay enough attention, the game does not deserve to be ignored like that. So I thought I'll come back another day and we'll try it again properly, which is what I did with Stardew Valley. I originally didn't give Stardew Valley enough attention and I didn't like the game because I wasn't giving it the attention it deserves. I went back 4 times. The 4th time I went to go play Stardew Valley, I loved it. And now I love it. So, and I'm on year 2 for the first time ever, so such a nice place to live. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't think a lot of people would agree with you on that. The UK is not that nice anymore. Just I changed my keyboard, my other keyboard, after 18. How long? After 18 months, 18 weeks, 18 days, 18 years. What are we talking? 18. Finally gave up on you. I don't know what I would do if mine, like, I love this thing. This is my baby. The minute I got the keycaps and everything, I was like, it's my child. Did you earn this platform? I don't know. What do you mean by that? Did I earn this platform? I've also been waiting to play a farm game, but I don't know which one. So I was like, maybe I'll play Fields because the graphics are so cute and I have to change it up. And I have a bit of catching up to do. Honestly, I'm telling myself when it comes to like Stardew Valley that I need to not rush through it. So I'm very like, this is the reason why I haven't played Fields of Mystery properly yet. Because there's so many other games out there too. I only have like 5 hours in most games that I've ever said I played. Because if I don't stream it, I don't put as much hours into it. Unless... It's kind of like this. I have like a couple of games I play on stream. Games I definitely won't be streaming. And those are the only games. Those are the only games. If there's another game that I'm like, oh, I really like it. I'm kind of just like, I am not going to rush through and put loads of time into it. There will be a day I'll play Fields of Mystery and it's all I'll play for months. I'm telling you right now. It is all I will do. 18 years? 18 years? Hello? Ooh. Wait, we need to do the rollerblades. Oh my god. Community channels affiliate, are you earning money from Twitch for playing games? I don't really earn money as an affiliate. No one really does. It's honestly, it's just for fun. I have the affiliate turned on just because, you know, why not kind of a thing, but this is just, it's fun. Twitch is fun. It's not for like money or anything, and I don't personally earn anything through it. But I got it back in 2007 when it was first released. Do you know what I was doing in 2007? Do you want to know what I was doing in 2007, Tony? Well, that's so funny. I was starting my, like, what do you even call it? My school is a junior school, so I don't know what you would call it, but like, not infants, but like, you know, I was starting school essentially. In fact, wait, no, I wasn't even starting junior school. I was in infant. I was starting infant school. I was starting school. That's crazy. 20 years is like... That's crazy. Honestly, though, I love that for you. The fact that, like, the keyboard lasted you that long is amazing. The respect of that keyboard to just hang on and be there the whole time is great. I wish, like... I wish they would just, like, make things like that now. I feel like that's one of our big problems these days, is things don't last like that. 18 years for something to last is crazy. Switching to a computer. Okay.
Hello.
Hello. This tin ingot is for you. Okay, now the like gifts are getting a little odd. So you made the rollerblades. I did. I'm not going to use them because they're way more annoying than skateboards. But it's okay because we're now a junior crafter. Certification complete. You're now a junior crafter. Hi. My shop has some new blueprints in stock. If you need anything, feel free to take a look. And there's one more thing I'd like to ask, but you've had a long day. Go rest. No, we are not. It's not a long day. It's 8 a.m. in game. Hello? I saw a request that might suit you. The owner said she needs materials for custom parts. Maybe you could help her with some modification. Okay. Make a plume bow and boom arrow. Okay. Oh, wait. Tell me I can do it in here. Okay. I keep forgetting this is here. I'm not gonna lie. So I need plume bows. Oh. Oh, they're locked. This work table isn't even... This isn't even the right work table to do it. I need to go over to, like, the one in his, the adventurous thing. I'm here. Hello. Come back. I'm being told to do something and the game is just, like, not listening. Can I do it here? Oh, arrows need... Oh my god. Okay. We need to do... iron. I don't actually have iron yet. How do I unlock this? Furnace level 1 too low. Oh no. Okay, so we need to go back to the shop then. That was probably what she was trying to tell me to do. But I just wasn't listening. Do I ever listen, really, in games? I don't think I do. You guys see me do things all the time and get very confused. And then I complain that I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, I have iron. I think I've farmed iron. I just don't have the recipe to actually make an iron bar yet. So annoying. Here we go. Here we go. We can do... Do I buy it from here? I don't think I do. But we'll try and buy what we need to buy and then... Oh, no. No, I hate when it does that. It like zooms in and out. Oh, my eyes. We'll do this and then we unfortunately have that break coming up. We've all just started playing. I'm so sorry. Maybe I should buy all of these. How much would this cost? Hang on. We go from... Oh, no. The first chest is like 1,500. The third one's 2,500. I was going to say... Do we buy the blueprints fees? Maybe? Because then we can... It's not like I don't have money. I'm just like conscious of the fact of like buying things. See, I need this. Because then I can actually make iron bars. I need that. And I might as well buy all these. So we're going to make all these and replace the ones I already have. I'm not going to do those just yet. Upgrade to learn blueprints, more advanced equipment. You can click the upgrade icon next to the title. Okay, so we need to go into here and do it. Oh, what have I got? Rustic stone lamp, distressed shelf. Okay. Help. I don't remember. Where was it? Upgrade him. I have to like learn how to upgrade. To learn blueprints for more advanced equipment, you can click the upgrade icon. Oh, so I do it back at home. Okay. Okay, we'll get back home and try and do that before ads start. But we're actually advancing, finally. Took me far too long. I kept doing the wrong stuff. So we go over here. And we do the upgrade. Oh, here. Okay, so we actually need these. Of course we do. Okay, so 5 bronze and 4 stone. Okay. I can only do 4. I need more tin. Of course I do. Of course I do. Just add another keyboard. Ooh, which keyboard are we getting? I don't know much about keyboards. I don't know much about anything when it comes to tech. But is she cute? I honestly am really like an aesthetics person, so my entire setup is like white and green. I don't know why. You ask me why I even decided the aesthetic I did. I can't even give you an answer. It just happened. I just got addicted to the color green. Ads are about to begin in a second though, so I am gonna have to leave the game for a second. But ads are only gonna be 3 minutes, I promise. And then we will be right back. Please do go. Go get a drink. Go get some food. Stretch. Do something good for your body. And we will be right back. And we will get into things. We have loads of stuff to craft. I will see you in 3 minutes. Okay. I'm being told ads are finished. Like I say every time, if they're not, I'm sorry. But Tony, I just looked up the keyboard and oh my god. That looks like so cool. I'm not gonna lie. What do you mean? It has like a panel screen, like a screen? What do you use that for? It looks so cool. My keyboard might be pretty, but she don't do that. She don't do that. That's like super cool. Let's have a look at what we need to do. It normally gives game info. That's so cool. I don't have anything cool like that. I know they make keyboards with like a little screen on nowadays, but that is like the real stuff. That's like the OG type thing. Like, it's got everything. Mine's just like nothing on it. Mine's a 60% keyboard. It's tiny. Or a clock. If playing music, it shows track and time. That's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah, my keyboard feels boring now. We need... Can we do that now? We need to do bronze. We need 5. 5 bronze. And 4 stone. And then we can upgrade and get iron. And then we can make the bows and everything. This is very, like... There's a lot that goes into this. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't think that I'd have this much stuff to do to make one thing. My keyboard just asked if we're poor. Honestly, my setup was, like, originally very, very, like, budget friendly. I had a £5 mouse, which I think was a Logitech one. Like, the original, like, wired Logitech, like, cheap Logitech one, which is, like, there was nothing wrong with it. I'm not even gonna lie, there was nothing wrong with it. And then my keyboard was, like, a Amazon £15 LED light up one that looked cool at the time, but it was so loud. And then I switched for like, you know, more expensive ones. So when I started out, my stuff was so cheap. I had the lowest possible end budget PC you could have. I had a 60 hertz monitor. It's taken me like 5 years to upgrade this setup. For reference, the cheapest thing on this setup is my mic. Could you believe it? This mic used to sound terrible, for reference. If you ever get this microphone, you can't just use it. You can't plug and speak into it and it works good. It doesn't. It doesn't. It's not like that. This mic hated me at the beginning. When we had my old keyboard, like I say every time I say this, Jack, when Jack's in chat, he will confirm stuff like this. He would be in streams when we were playing Fortnite, like way back, and I would be like smashing the keys on my keyboard. And it was like a headache because all you would hear is me smashing the keys. You could barely even hear me talk because all it would pick up is my keys. Whereas now, it doesn't pick up. Or if it does, it's very minimal, which is really quite the upgrade when I realized all I had to do was put filters on my microphone. And considering he was like the one person always in the streams, I don't know why he was in the streams. Please explain to me why you would want to watch someone that was constantly like, all you could hear was a smashing keyboard in the background. And my PC fan. Because when I first got the PC, it was so loud in the microphone because you could hear the mic picked up on everything. It was smashing of the keyboard and my PC fans. You could hear it all. The poor guy sat through the whole thing. I may open it up and try giving it a good clean with some IPA and see if it'll work again. If not, rip the Logitech G15. Rest in peace, friend. Oh my god. We need to upgrade all these. I need 2 iron. Okay, I can do iron now. We can do iron. Where's the iron? Okay. I'm gonna do a couple of them at least, not just 2. And then we can do a copper sheet. Again, let's just do more than 1. I may have to hold a funeral and bury in the garden. Honestly, I probably would after 18 years. Like, 18 years is a long time. That is not just a keyboard, that is a child, okay? Like, my setup, this is a collective child. It's one, but if one piece is gone, my heart's gone with it. It served me well. It definitely did. It definitely did. It honestly, that proves the whole thing around like how well but like tech in general lasts these days compared to like pre-2010s. I think the 2010s is when stuff really went downhill. Like you can't even buy a phone these days without having to buy like, you get like a charger with your phone, right? I don't know if they still do it, but when I got my phone, they still give you a charger, but they didn't give you a plug for the charger. You don't get earphones in your phone anymore. You don't get anything. Back in my day, you got earphones and a plug and the charging cable with your phone, okay? I say this, but that's like when I was like 11. It was not my first phone for reference. But like, the amount of times that I probably dropped my first ever phone and it still survived is amazing though. Compared to like an iPhone, you drop an iPhone now, it's broken, right? My Sony Ericsson was like perfect. Your day, you're still a baby. I'm 27 in like 9 months. I'm a boomer now, according to most kids these days. One thing I hate with this game is how much it costs to craft everything. Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you like with crafting. I do like crafting. I'm not like a hater towards it or anything. I do like it. But, wow. All I need to make is some arrows, and right now I cannot. Because I need to do this instead. It's a little tedious, I'm not gonna lie. But let's see if I can... I need to do boom arrows, which means I need to make arrows, which I need... How many of these do I need? I need one. One plume. I don't even have the... I don't even have a plume bow. What? Oh wait, I make that in the crafting thing. A baby to me, you're still a baby. I mean, fair enough. Like, yeah. What is this? What is this? Just because. I get it because like obviously my mum was born the same year as you, so it makes sense. I get it. But I don't even feel like, oh my god, I'm so much younger than my mum. I don't even feel like that with my mum. So to me, I don't feel like a child anymore at all. Hello, cretin, but it's so... Yes, it's so odd. I don't know. I've not had anything like this in a game before. I do feel like it's a bit odd. A little bit odd. Like, I have to do glass pane. Okay. Glass pane, let's go do that. We do that here? Like, how many things have we had to do? This is kind of crazy. I was 27 in November, so I get it. No, literally, I feel so old. Now, my joints have felt old since I was like 14. But like, mentally now, I'm just like... I've hit that point of like, the 20s where I'm like, oh... I am an adult now. It's like, eh. Why does it take 15 seconds? I hate it, honestly. And it's so loud, you have to walk away. Stop it. Stop being so loud. Now I can go back. Okay, now I can go back and upgrade. I do love crafting, but man. Let me have a plume bow, please. Please tell me I can just, like, make it. Can I just... Wait. Ew! What did they do to the cute tree? Are you kidding me right now? What did they do to the cute tree? It was a cute little stump, like, tree. crafting table tree. And now it's ugly. Ew. I hate that. That is... This just did me dirty. I don't like that. Are you kidding me right now? I'm mad. I want to... Can I un-upgrade and just not use anything in the game and just look at the cute little crafting table instead? I'm not happy with it. Well, I gotta get over it. Oh my god. Okay. 5 hardwood planks and 1 more copper line. Okay, copper line. Copper we do on here. And we do it on here and I can't get to it. No, we don't. I think we actually do it on here. We only need 1 more, so we do 1 of those. And then I need to go on this and do the hardwood planks. Okay. Okay, we're on our way now. Oh my. You still get a level 1 table if you want, but you'd be limited to what you can make on it. I know, but why is level 2 so ugly? It's like, even these things down here are cute. Like look at this. This is cute. This is ugly. This is ugly. This is cute. That's kind of cute. They make things like this. This cute little pink and blue thing. Adorable. And then you go around here and you're just like... I'd rather not. I'd just rather not. That is so ugly. I was going to keep the table out. These are all going to be like hidden away now. Because what do you mean? What do you mean you just like ruined it? It was going so well. Even you don't like it? Honestly. I need more hardwood. How do I get hardwood? How do I get hardwood? Do I have to cut down certain trees? Oh wait, it's the big ones. Like this one. Now I gotta go do this too. Please give it to me. Like, I don't care for like, oh thank god. I was gonna say like it just gave me softwood. Do not tell me you're gonna give me softwood. That would have been... I would have been mad. Okay, we're okay. It's just gonna take a minute. It's fine. It's fine. We just want to make like a bow that I just need for a quest. It's fine. I guess in like the game's defense, it's like a slow game. You can slow down, you know? It's kind of like how some things with Palia. If you guys play Palia now, but you never used to play Palia, like, I'm talking... Wait. Why can I still hear it? Why was the sound following me around? That was awful. I thought I wasn't gonna shut up. Oh my. If you didn't play Palia, like, at the extreme beginning of it, obviously I can't talk about Alpha because I have an NDA, so I can't talk about it. But let's just say the beginning of actually playing Palia when the game was publicly available, like, I played the first week that was a closed beta, and then the second week, I believe, was an open beta. But the closed beta that was public, by the way, I don't have an NDA for that. What do you mean? I had to start with a tent? Didn't get a house. The houses didn't exist. Houses didn't exist. You didn't get a chance of getting a house like you do now. And you had to wait like a whole day for the house to build. A whole like 24 hours, real time, by the way. Not in game. Not 1 hour. It was like 8, 12, 24 hours to do things. If you start playing Palia in like the last year or so, you have it so good. Like, so good. You don't even know. You don't even know. Like, we had to suffer. It was crazy. It was crazy. The amount of things we went through so you guys can have fun. I don't want to talk about it. They had to figure their life out. Honestly, it was so bad. Like, I was fine with it, essentially, because technically it was like, oh, slow down, like, have fun. And I was like, yeah, but like, I want a house. I remember streaming the first day of closed beta and it was just like, It was just like really funny because everyone was like, oh, I can't wait to build. And we were all like, we can't build. Because the house takes so long. Okay, hardwood and iron. So we need to go do a bunch of... knock down a bunch of trees to forest this farm. They have wimpified the game. No. I mean... I don't know if I would have preferred them to have kept the things that they did have. I don't know if I would have preferred it or not. What do you guys think? Would it have been better to have just, like, kept it as it was? I don't know. Did the trees grow back? Good question. I don't know. I came to this thing of, like, on, like, day 2. I think I didn't even mean to do that. Oh, I just killed another baby rabbit. I'm so sorry. On, like, the second day, so when we streamed the first day of Starsand, I then played a little bit on day 2 to figure some stuff out. And I realized that there are a bunch of places on the map where you can just go get trees anyway. Like, there's literally, like, where all these trees are and stuff. So I was kind of just like, I'm gonna deforest the whole of my farm and not care, even if they don't grow back. I do think they grow back, but it takes a couple of in-game days. Potentially. The other thing they needed to change at release was a better tutorial system. I had it fine because of playing alpha. I kind of just like knew what I was doing, but everyone else that hadn't even played the game yet was probably like, how do I do this? How do I do that? I have no idea what this is. It was a little bit difficult because the thing is as well, I think I can say this. This isn't gonna like break an NDA or anything. It's just, I didn't know... I didn't know what a flow tree was. This is so embarrassing to talk about. When I played the alpha, I had no idea what a flow tree was. And I reported to them saying, hey, this pink tree won't chop. It won't chop, it just won't chop. Why? And they were like, oh, it will, you're just not using the right thing. It was so bad. I'm so embarrassed about that now. They were like, make sure you tell us everything that's wrong with the game. If something's not right, let us know. And I was like, I took it so serious. I was like, hey, this tree won't cut down. This tree's bugged. This tree's broken. You need to fix it. They dropped the price of the storage chest, which annoyed the hell out of me. Well, let me tell you. Oh my god, another baby. Oh no. I didn't mean to do that. I honestly had a problem with my backpack for way too long. That I bought the upgrade for the backpack and it bugged, so it made it out like I didn't have the backpack, but I did have the backpack. So the game didn't think I had it, so it didn't give it to me, so I was kind of just like stuck. I couldn't do anything because I couldn't like carry stuff with me at all. It was awful. And this is like very early game too. I had to wait 3 weeks for them to fix the bug. Here's me following you on my socials. I did see the word Sam and think, but then it came up on TikTok and I was like, oh, I don't mind that at all. Thank you. I appreciate it. I do post every day on socials. Like I try and post a video every single day. So I have gotten a lot better at socials. So I do appreciate that. I used to be really bad and never post anything on social media. I used to just be like, I'm a Twitch streamer. It doesn't matter what else I do. It does. We post all of the VODs on YouTube. We post a clip every day on social. I'm a pro streamer now. Yeah, it's me. Yeah. Yeah, I figured it out now. Took me a second. Took me a very long time. Okay, I actually love this game at night. I can't wait for like the weather to be like this. I know I always complain when it's summer because I have like a problem with heat. Like I can't tolerate heat. But man, I actually can't wait for it to just be like sort of like you know when it's like not dark at like 4 p.m. outside? It's like, what time is it right now? 5:30. And it's going to be dark very, very soon. So I kind of like it when the summer makes the sun stay up longer. Because I just kind of like going outside and being like, taking it in. I can't go outside right now and be like, ah, what a beautiful night. I'm like, oh my god, it's so cold. Like, it's freezing. It's almost impossible. I have to stay off Twitter though because I haven't watched second half Bridging yet and there's spoilers everywhere. Do you know what? I finished just before stream. I won't say anything. I won't spoil it for anyone. I'm not going to say anything because that would be rude. I would never do that. We don't do that around here, okay? But I love this season. That's all I'll say. I didn't enjoy last season that much. But this season, so good. I have 4 more episodes. That's what I was like last night because I didn't realize that it was out yet. And then I had to go to sleep. So I stayed up like an hour later, okay? My bedtime is 11 p.m. I stayed up till midnight to watch 2. And I watched the other 2 for stream. So enjoy. Enjoy. The minute you get home, I already know you're going to put them on. I also can't tolerate heat funks antidepressants. Well, okay. My reason is because I have POTS. So my heart rate goes crazy. And I have like a bunch of inflammatory conditions, so it doesn't mix very well. So I basically have to eat like a bunch of fruit, be really hydrated, and like stay away from like big meals, and then I'm fine. That's like one of the best things I've done. But going outside in the UK when it's summer and it's nighttime, the sun's still up, but it's like past 6 p.m. It's so peaceful. It's so peaceful. Will you be my mistress? No, don't. I think I screamed when he said that. I think I verbally actually screamed. How did you know that you have POTS? Oh, I love that question. I found POTS like through like TikTok and stuff, which I did with a lot of my conditions. That I actually ended up getting a diagnosis for in the end. I went to the doctor multiple times being like, hey, I have this. I know I have it. And the doctors would be like, I fought so hard to see a cardiologist, which isn't particularly the right doctor, but, you know. I had a tilt table test, which is where the shortest way to explain it to you is you lay on a flat bed and then they like tilt it up and make you basically kind of sort of faint. I didn't actually end up doing anything in that tilt table test. It didn't do anything because they didn't do it right. So then the cardiologist was very rude and told me, hey, you don't have this condition you are so convinced you have. I fought so hard for him to send me back that I got another test. What happened? I actually fainted for like a millisecond or something weird. My heart rate shot up. My heart rate then shot down. It was crazy. I felt awful. I felt terrible for months because of it. But I'm medicated now and I can actually live. So prior to getting the diagnosis, I physically couldn't do anything. I couldn't even leave the house without feeling like I was literally dying. So, yeah. Best thing that ever happened to me was the medication. Because without that, I can't do anything. Now, I'm pretty good. I feel pretty good in terms of POTS, at least. I have other problems, but my heart rate, so cool. Does not care. It doesn't feel like I'm being chased by an axe murderer 99% of the time now. Which is pretty cool. So, yeah. It's kind of mad. It's not the kind of thing you would expect exists. I hear a lot of people call POTS being allergic to gravity. So, put it that way. If it's hard for you to understand what it is, I am allergic to gravity. Which is so weird, but it's like so true. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. If you truly think you have something like that, I would fight so hard to get the diagnosis. Because it's the best thing I did. But yeah, I think I streamed. Yeah, we were streaming before I actually got the diagnosis. I don't think the VODs exist, unfortunately, but if they do, I could show them on stream one time, but There was a stream where I had to end because about half an hour in, I genuinely felt like I was gonna faint. Now we don't have that. And that was during summer. It was awful. Awful. And then last year, I ended up being able to just like stream, have fun, enjoy myself, and then go outside afterwards and eat some food and just like enjoy a summer night. How crazy is that? How crazy is that? How times change so quickly. Wait, where's this one? Oh, I was supposed to be doing this the entire time? Are you kidding me right now? I was supposed to be doing this. We were doing the wrong thing. It's okay, we're vibing, it's fine. Gearsmith, we need all of this. Okay, hardwood planks. We can do that. Is something wrong with me? I just don't know what it is. Honestly, I have like... What do I have? Like 4 like main conditions that I had so much research I did into them all that it took me years and years to finally get there. Like endometriosis, I had no idea it existed and I've had it since I was like 11. I'm 26. Took me 15 not 15 years, more like 13, 14 years to figure out what it was. And now I have it diagnosed. So, okay, guys, but everyone is pretty sure. One question. When you stand up, do you feel like you are going to pass out? Literally. It's the most simple question. And if you have like a watch with like a heart rate monitor on it, does your heart rate shoot up when you just stand up? Because it shouldn't do that. Realistically, really shouldn't do that. It's not normal. It is, no matter who tells you it's normal, it's not. Depends on how fast I stand up. I mean, even if I stand up slow before I was medicated, I would literally... My heart rate would go up by like 50. As long as... The staple thing to diagnose POTS is purely when you change positions, your heart rate changes by 30 beats. That is it. That is all it needs to be. And then the symptoms that come along with it. Nothing else. That is all you need. As evidence. You don't even need a tilt table test. They are literally awful and a bunch of doctors will not want you to have one. They will be like, no, we're not going to do one of those. They are inhumane. They are actually inhumane, to be honest. If you're desperate and it's the only way you're going to get the diagnosis, it's like fine. I was fine with it. I just did it. I did it twice. But yeah, if you don't need one, you don't have to have one. Heart rate, head disease, runs pharmacist issues in my heart in general. I would seriously give it a look into. I truly would, because nothing is better for me personally now than knowing what's wrong and how I can like help myself. I feel so much better now that I know what I can actually do to just live like a normal everyday as much as I possibly can. Like, I might still not live normally, but it's like so much better. I mean, I've had like an echo to see if there's anything like that wrong, but apparently I am fine in that sense. So it's quite difficult. There's a lot that goes into all of these things. I think a lot of doctors just like, I don't know. I think they worry a little bit of like, how am I supposed to figure all this out? For one person, it's a lot. But fight for yourself. Fight for yourself in every way you possibly can. I know you're in America, which is even worse. But whatever you can do to help yourself, do it. I had to wear heart rate monitor for 24 hours. It was so uncomfortable. I've had so many 24-hour ECGs. I could feel for you. I've had a 24-hour, not even a 24-hour. I had like a week-long, I think it was either 24 hours or like a week-long blood pressure monitor, which means you have a blood pressure monitor on your arm the whole time, and it constantly takes a reading. It's dreadful. But honestly, I think sometimes it's like one of those things where if it's gonna help me, I'm like okay with it. You know? I had to sleep my back. It was horrible. Honestly, I can feel for you. I mean, if it helps, it helps. But it still sucks, you know? It definitely still sucks, but do everything. Do everything you need to do to fight for you. That's the one thing I'll always say. I almost gave up and then I figured out everything that was wrong and I was like, oh, this is what it feels like to actually know what's wrong. Definitely one of the best things I've ever done was just like fighting and not giving up on it. What? Wait, we need glass pane too? How do I... Glass brick. Oh my, there's so many things you need to do. Just to do this one quest. Oh my god. This is crazy. What do you mean? Okay, we need to go back and get iron from the forest. Do we leave this? I think we leave that. We can go get some iron. I don't think I can get iron outside of the mine. I call it the mine. It's the forest. I don't think we can. So we need to go get some more. Oh. Wait, we can sleep in here. Let's just sleep. Let's just sleep. Why not? I'll go to this one. Often fatigued, any type of fitness on clean speed walking to catch up with my boyfriend I have like chance to rep exercise seems impossible. I would, if you're able to, I would genuinely go and get that looked at and questioned if it is pot. I couldn't stand up without feeling like I was out of breath. I couldn't go up the stairs. Stairs were hell for me. Stairs now, they hurt my body, but they don't make me feel like I'm gonna pass out. So I would definitely say if you're able to, go and get that looked at. 1000%. 1000%. Exercise was like the worst thing. It wasn't even like actual exercise. I just couldn't do anything. I genuinely couldn't do a single thing. Which is crazy to look back on. Like, I struggle with other ways in my life, but like, the POTS is like, it's when it wants to. I'm not gonna say that it's completely gone. But now... Oh, I can't get through. But now, like, the POTS for me is not, like, the biggest problem in my life. All the time. How do I find iron? Do we go this way? I think we're going the wrong way. Wait, did time just go backwards? It said 22, right? I could have sworn it said 22 and now it says 20... 21. Technically overweight for my height. Honestly, so am I. Apparently, so am I. At this point, I can't be bothered listening to doctors that tell me these things. BMI does not matter. BMI is the most ridiculous thing to ever exist and was created for men in the, well, little boys in the Victorian period. So I just don't listen to BMI. I've got 2 pushing 200. Honestly though, if you can't move your body because of the health problems you have, it doesn't help. I couldn't do anything about my weight whatsoever until my POTS was like handled. It was impossible. I couldn't do anything. Last time I checked, I was 190. That's so good though. That's so good. Be proud of yourself. Especially when you're not able to move much. Literally, the more immobile you are, the worse and the harder it is. Oh. Oh no. Oh my. That is not good. How do I switch? How do I switch? Hey, come back. I have better ammo now. Yeah. Don't kill me, please. Please, please, please. Oh, no. This guy is actually terrifying. I know you can keep backing down the stairs, but it's like ineffective, right? Oh, he's not hitting me though. That's good. Now you're dead. Oh my. That was because of but yeah, okay. Like, but still. Honestly, it still doesn't matter. I think you should get one problem looked at so that you can help the other thing, right? That's how I look at it now. I can't help myself if someone else is not willing to try and help me with my health. That's how I look at it anyway. You can't focus on something when you have something else going on. That's what I think. You struggle with trying to focus on something that's supposed to be a good thing, but you can't focus on that thing to help yourself if you still have something else going on. But don't be hard on yourself. That's what I say. Just don't be hard on yourself. The worst thing you can do for, like, your body is literally stress. It truly is, like, the worst thing. I think I was at my worst health and mental when I was so stressed. So I definitely do think if you're able to, don't stress yourself out if you can help it. Is this a new camp? Is this new? Oh, we're nearly at the end of it. Oh, no, we're not. Oh, no, we're not. I'm like, oh, we're nearly there. No, we're not. We're nowhere near it. Of course we're not. Oh, no. Where's all the iron? Am I crazy? We haven't found a single bit of iron. I don't think I'm looking in the right place. Wait, is this iron? Yeah, we found it. Oh, but he's gonna come for me now. Okay, of course you are. I don't want to kill this guy though. He's so cute. Like, I love him. Why do I have to kill him? Gold ore? Primarite? Oh? Magnite ore. Oh, and another one. Red sleep lily. Oh, and another one. Blue sleep lily. Oh my, that was a lot of things all at once. That was a lot. Okay, we're gonna get all this iron and then go back and turn it into bars. And then I think we have to do glass pane. Glass pane, not plane. And then we can do the gearsmith one. I also just realized I've literally I pinned the ingredients for the gearsmith, but it's already pinned as on the quest, so I have the same thing twice on my screen for no reason. I didn't even realize. You know what? That's okay. Fine. Ooh, another chest. What's in this one? Okay, we already have all those. We already got those, but it's fine. How much iron do I have? I think we've nearly cleared the area, so I could oh. They look so similar. The tin and the iron just literally look like the same thing. Oh, I can't do this yet. Okay, so I've got some of that material, but I can't actually farm it. That's odd. Can I exit through the map? No. Can I exit up this way instead of going all the way back down? I wish you could use your skateboard in here as well. I feel like that would definitely be worth it. Can I not?